Welcome, everyone, to the March 11th edition of the Fireside Friday Signals from Mars episode for 2022-2022. I am Victor, and we are back for another week of new releases, hard rock and metal new releases, that is. And since we're going to have a discussion in a few minutes about the new Ghost album Impera, I will just skip that for now, but you can catch this entire list on MarsAttacksRadio.com. We will have Johan from Sweden, we'll have Jeremy Weltman from the UK, and we will have Brad Dahl from Utah joining us in just a little bit. But let me recap some of the albums that have come out today. And aside from the Ghost, we have Return to Earth. We had Ron Scalzo and Chris Penny on a few months back to discuss the album Oblivion. If you haven't checked that interview out or the album out, I do suggest that you do so. I think it's a great album. I ordered it on vinyl, and we'll be getting that shortly. The track that they released the video for, which I posted on the website, is probably my favorite track off of the album, Wolf Bait. It's just got this really catchy chorus to it, and it's just an awesome track overall. So check it out. If you like it, then check out what the band has to offer. Definitely. There's also links there to the interview that I did with Ron and Chris. Other new albums that came out today, Jizzy Pearl's Love Hate, Brandon Boyd of Incubus released a new solo album, Bastard, New Horizon, The Moralist, I guess is the name of that band, and because that wasn't difficult enough, we also have Archaic. Archaic, but it's spelled completely different. The Human Tornado, Pillaging Villagers, Risen, Wolves at the Gate, Backslash, Famine, Convert, Rust and Rage. You have Bastard listed twice. Just like the name or something. I don't know. Find Me, Radioactive, I can't say it. Cobra. There you go. Mesa, Shadow Universe, Sick, SYK, Interesting Times Gang, Claustrophobia, and Cloven Hoof. EPs from today include Dystopia by Dead Lord, reissues by Methods of Mayhem, I guess capitalizing on the Tommy and Pam show on Hulu. For me, it's Disney Plus, actually. I've seen all 6 episodes. Thought it wasn't bad. Entertaining. And for people that have an issue with, I know John Corabi has come out and said, it's a bunch of crock. It's not real. I lived with them and, blah, 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 and this, that. Look, if people want to take the dirt as being real, you should have no issue accepting Tommy and Tammy as being real as well. Because let me tell you, these guys sure do know how to embellish things. So, anyway. Other reissues by House of Shakira, Edge of Forever, live albums, Kiss, Off the Soundboard, Yes, Live in Virginia Beach, Nightwish, virtual live show from Islanders Arms 2021, and Grim Reaper, all released. New live albums today. And real quickly, let's see metal news on Blabbermouth. Let's see. The headlines here are Rammstein announced new album. Mark Martin and Chris Adler, former Lamb of God drummer and current Lamb of God guitarist, go back and forth on social media. Ted Nugent rails against big tech. Bruce Dickinson, no plans for Maiden to retire. Deftones part with bassist. Wow. And David Lee Roth closes skincare line. See what else is going on here. Korn's Ray Luzier says it's very weird not having Fieldy out on the road with the band. Goes Tobias Fumke, just because I'm a control freak doesn't mean that I'm in control. Not sure. Paul Stanley calls out Kim Kardashian for insulting business advice to women. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts to release Change Up acoustic album. Kid Rock releases music video for controversial new single We the People. Remember, folks, this is the guy that cut the flag in half and where it is a shirt. Rush releases official music video for YYZ from Moving Pictures 40th anniversary. Stabbing Westward drops music video for new single Ghost. Their new album drops next week. I want to check that out. Dave Mustaine says James Lomenzo was obvious choice to rejoin Megadeth following David Elvison's dismissal. Anvil reveals Impact's imminent album details, shares Ghost Shadow music video. Motionless in White announces new album, Scoring the End of the World. Shares Cyberhex single. Slipknot, Corey Taylor's in. How the fuck do you pronounce this name? Horrors? But it's H0990 or H0909 music video for Bite My Face. Okay, correct. Pronounce horror. Oh, how unique. Joe Satriani pushes back European tour to spring 2023. Kim Sale says it's very likely he will play Soundgarden songs again with Ben Shepherd and Matt Cameron. I didn't think he was going to go paint houses all of a sudden. See Ozzy Osbourne in Youngblood, the funeral video. Ozzy Osbourne appears in Youngblood, the funeral video. In case you didn't know. Repetition is key, folks. Sepultura's Andreas Kisser says Brazil has the worst president ever. He is worse than Trump. Arts Ann Wilson says a band is harder to keep together than a marriage. Doro Pesh, receiving a bullet with Lemmy's ashes inside was one of the most intense moments of my life. So for anyone that, is second-guessing her metal cred, I think Lemmy would leave those bullets to just anyone. So there you go. Slipknot is still mixing new album. Flash says it's surreal being father of 19-year-old rock drummer. Tesla releases lyrical video for latest single, Cold Blue Steel. Hell did they release that? Toilet shaped like Metallica's Lars Ulrich acquired by Danish Museum. Yeah, I hope that they didn't spend a whole heck of a lot on that one. Kid Rock's Bad Reputation album to arrive this month. Details revealed. See trailer for Metal Lords, a heavy metal coming-of-age film from co-creator of Game of Thrones. He's a metal fan, so I hope do that right. Original Kiss members, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, to perform together at Creature Fest in May. Now, can they get Vinnie Vincent to join them, who will be at the same at the same event? That's my question. This May I release his new single, or first new single in 5 years, Unconquered. And Slayer's Kerry King says Judas Priest deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So whoever it was years ago that told me that Slayer's much more influential than Judas Priest, Kerry King is saying that Judas Priest should be in there because of their influence on him. So there you go. Anyway, I'm we have Brad up here already. Brad, I hope you're doing great, sir.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm going to invite Johan. Um, going to invite Jeremy up to chat as well. All right. I'm seeing that I can also invite you guys to share your cameras, but since no one has ever said that, I've never done that.
Oh.
But Jeremy, how are you, sir?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. How are you?
Doing well. Johan, how are you?
I'm doing good, sir.
Awesome to hear. All right, so the topic of the day, I mentioned before that Ghost just released their new album, Impera, and I've been going back and forth with you guys a little bit today about this, but I didn't want to get too deep into it because I wanted to talk about the subject here. Johan mentioned that he had listened to at least half of the album going into work and had listened to a review on Swedish radio. So I wanted to throw to Johan first, only because obviously Ghost is a Swedish band, probably the biggest Swedish rock or metal band in the world right now, because they are headlining tours in North America, playing a lot of big festivals as well, with their names close to the top, if not at the top. Johan, how is this album being received in Sweden by the Swedish press? You mentioned that they reviewed it today.
Yeah, they did. They reviewed it on national radio, and actually, they made the headlines on the biggest Swedish newspapers as well. So
Okay.
the receive on this album is massive. To compare with the other albums, this is much more. So I guess people want to hear from Ghost. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic. I don't know, because it's the, the press today has been massive in Sweden of Ghost, and the reviews has been really good.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned to me that one thing that really stood out to me, that Tobias had worked with a lot of Sweden's best musicians on this album you mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the information on the album. I'm unfortunately not at the I'm not big enough to be in the loop with a band like Ghost when it comes to PR, labels, or anything like that. But who are some of the people that worked with him on this album?
The people are Salem Al Fakir, a Swedish songwriter, Vincent Pontare, especially Jocke Berg. These names don't mean anything to you, but I'll explain.
Okay.
And Claes Åhlund. These are all people that are famous for working with big bands here in Sweden, or with Madonna, Britney Spears, or the producer Max Martin. Peter Svensson is from Cardigans. So these are professional songwriters who produce hit singles, a couple of hit singles every year here and in the world. So he really connected with Sweden's best, you can say. Yeah.
Hey, Johan. Does it say anywhere who produced the album? Do we know?
Yeah, it's produced by the same guy that did Meliora.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but that's interesting, Johan, because those guys I know are metal fans, because that was always the big thing, because they worked with Def Leppard on the X album. And I remember at the time they talked about how they would play riffs from like High and Dry and from Pyromania and stuff like that. And that the band would have to tell them, no, we don't want to write stuff like that. We want to write more contemporary things to get on the radio. So at heart, they wanted to try to get them, sure, they were being paid to write songs for Def Leppard, but they were fans and wanted to do, the kind of Def Leppard that they liked. But, ultimately they're getting paid to do this other stuff. So they ended up doing what they did with them on that album. So that's interesting. Jeremy, what's your interpretation of the album? Did you get a chance to listen to it?
Yeah, I had a good. Well, I listened to it all the way through this morning while I was working, just once. And my initial reaction was that I was a little bit underwhelmed, and maybe it was because I was listening to it on an iPad, and I didn't have it turned up very much. But I went back this evening and just listened to it again, and there were certain tracks that really stuck out to me, and I've started to really like it. I really liked it a lot. And there were, obviously I'd heard the single before. We spoke about that last week. But I like the song 20s. I thought that was really interesting, very different. And I liked Griffwood and Spillways. And so I'm starting to really dig it. And I like the production. I think it's really well produced. So yeah, it's going well for me at the moment.
Very cool. Hello to Rob Rowe checking in on YouTube. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Hey, Rob.
Brad, you mentioned that you got to listen to it as well. Your thoughts on the album?
Yeah, by the way, thanks for mentioning this album because I had no idea it was coming out today. So I listened to it on the way in. I'm actually at the Poison Center right now. I've secluded myself into a...
Saving the world.
Yeah. I'm looking out over the Great Salt Lake Valley. Looks like winter out there. It was 11 degrees at my house when I left this morning. That's 11 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was freaking freezing. I mean, it's weird for March. This is springtime. Anyway, so I'm really glad you mentioned that. And I saw that this morning. So I put it on and I'm driving towards the mountains with the sun just barely lighting up the mountains when it had the little intro song coming on. And it felt like a soundtrack to what I was seeing, with the sun kind of crawling down the mountains. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. And then that first song kicks in. And the first thing that struck me was, holy crap, this album sounds good. I'm in the Volvo S90 with the really nice sound system. And the bass guitar, it sounds great. And very punchy, very, it's got that kind of sound that I like. So it was jumping out, and the drums, not the snare so much, but the kick and the toms were really up front. I thought the snare was kind of a little bit laid back, but that's okay. It worked. The guitars kind of mixed down a bit, not like in your face, real metal kind of sounding. But the thing that struck me about listening to this as I was driving in is that every song, compared to other Ghost albums that I've listened to, I liked every song when I heard it. I mean, it wasn't like, that was all right, maybe it'll grow on me. This wasn't a grower for me. I liked every song the first time I heard it, which is really weird.
Yeah.
And I felt like the songwriting, not the sound, but the songwriting had kind of a 70s vibe to it. It was just kind of like, this is real traditional rock writing. I mean, there was obviously some real metal riffs thrown in there here and there. But the actual songs were more 70s stylish, but it didn't sound 70s because of the production. There was a lot of reverb on the drums, which kind of gives it more of an 80s kind of pop and feel to it, but yet more of a modern with the kick being so big. I really, really liked it. I was just like, holy crap, this is a great album. And I'm excited to listen to it more. I'll actually buy it so I can listen to it properly, but it's still, even streaming, it sounded great in the car. So I'm blown away.
Yeah, I have to agree with you that on the first listen, this is the first Ghost album for me as well that I like every single song on it.
Yep.
That stood out to me right away, because I thought, I'm like, wow, this one's cool. Okay, this one's going in the playlist. Oh, wow, this one's neat too. And of course, as of this morning, they released Griftwood as the fourth single. So I started listening to that. Yeah, and then I realized, I'm like, oh, wait, the entire album is out. So I started to listen to it. And for me, the standout track is Watcher in the Sky. I listened to that song like 10 times today.
Yes.
Yep. Great song.
It just has, it's a lot of what I talked about the last AC/DC album, where Brad, when you had us talk about the tracks and doing the band of the month that you were doing, I talked about the song Witch's Brew. It was a simple chorus, which is what Watcher in the Sky is, just a simple chorus, but it's something that the way that it's constructed and put together with the way that, you've got the slight keyboards in the background that kind of remind me of like the keyboards in the Ozzy track Diary of a Madman to an extent, like that style. So it adds like an eeriness. Like the keyboards throughout the album really add an eeriness. And I think with what Johan is saying makes complete sense, because I thought the same thing you just mentioned, Brad. And I wrote this. It's on the website. It's on MarsAttacksRadio.com. I think it's the best composed album that they've put together, so it makes sense what Johan is saying. I also think, and I saw that a lot of people were saying, oh, I don't like this, Meliora is still their best album. And I personally think that everything that he has done, that Tobias has done, every album is better than the last, in my opinion. I think this is their best album. And I think that this is their Black album, their Back in Black, their Appetite for Destruction. That album that's gonna cross over to other fans of other genres.
I agree. Yeah, this is going to appeal to a really broad audience, whereas some of the older stuff, it's like, it's a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Here, one thing about the keyboards too, I thought, wow, because they have two keyboards when they play live, and there's a lot of keyboards going on. And there's keyboards in every song, but they're not like out there. You know what I mean? They're kind of mixed really well, and they pick patches that kind of support the song. It's not necessarily the song. And I was just blown away with how well this is all constructed and put together to where it just sounds good. I enjoyed listening. There's a lot of times when I'm listening to Ghost, I'd be like, I'll skip this song. This song's just like, it's kind of, but this album, no, I don't see me skipping any songs.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think the song Darkness at the Heart of My Love is going to be the big single off of this. Ooh. They've already released 4. If they release that as a 5th single and it gets the proper promotion, that song is going to be all over radio, everywhere. Even if radio matters anymore or not, just the way, because it is a ballad, and just the way that it's put together, I think it's perfect for a big single. So I think again, this will be, and I know people are going to say, oh, well, all those albums you mentioned are huge albums. No, I get that. But what I'm getting at is for a casual fan that doesn't go out and get the entire collection from a band, buys that one album. All they do is buy that one album because it's got those songs that they heard on the radio or watched on TV or saw on YouTube or whatever. This is that album for them, in my opinion. This is the album that's going to make Ghost become a big name within the music community in general, not just the rock community. And Tobias is very smart, because I remember remember years ago hearing the song Year Zero in a department store and thinking, these guys have no idea what he's singing about. It's got this melody. You can sing along to it. It gets stuck in your head. But the lyrics are something that totally does not have to do with pop music at all. It's just one of those things where it's not really a radio-friendly song for the general public. So
Yeah.
I think he's a smart guy.
No, I think you're totally on point there, and that's what I thought when I listened to it. I thought, well, it's obviously Ghost, but it's not like he's trying to sound like his other albums, and they're just really good songs, and it's just got so much, I think, a much broader appeal.
I agree.
So I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, I think this album, like you say, is going to really push them on into another level. And you can see that they're going to be headlining large festivals. And they are going to become one of the big bands of the current era, I think.
Yeah.
If they hadn't have produced sort of better albums and produced this kind of album, they may have not made it, right to the top. But I think they're going to go all the way. And so certain promoters of festivals are always looking for the next big act, aren't they, to come on and become the next big thing, because if you look at some of the festivals, it's Iron Maiden, it's Metallica, it's Kiss. They're always on because they have to have those big names. I think Ghost are going to be one of those names now that are going to attract people in, and they deserve it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like we're saying, I mean, if they're not headlining festivals, they're the second name on the bill. They're the band right before the big band that's headlining the entire thing. And listen, as bands that we've come to love all these years start to drift away, I mean, they're that next wave. People keep saying, who's going to replace this band? Who's going to replace the other band? They're not going to be as big for us because we've seen what some of these bands are. But given the current climate, Ghost, Slipknot are probably the two biggest bands out there that aren't the ones that you just mentioned, Jeremy. It's just because of their age and just because of their popularity, it's a no-brainer that they're going to be the bands that are going to be leading, the next generation after Kiss is going to be done in a year, supposedly. I can't imagine Priest going on much longer. Maiden just said that they're going to drop dead on stage, So.
Yeah. I got to say this because I saw Judas Priest Monday, and I saw more Ghost T-shirts at that concert than any other band, even more than Priest shirts.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I know they were just here a month or so ago in the height of COVID, which is why I didn't go. But which now I'm like, God, I should have gone, but I don't know. I kind of like not having COVID.
Yeah.
That's a good alternative.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Priest was really good. I don't know if we got time for me to talk about that.
Yeah. We've got a good 15 minutes where we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys want to say any more about the Ghost album? You have any more comments, Johan?
Just want to say my favorite songs right now.
Cool.
Kaiser. What's the first? Kaiser.
Yeah. Something
Kaiserian.
Yeah.
Great song. Great opener.
Good song. Really good.
And Spillways opens up like ABBA.
I like that.
Yep.
Watch You in the Sky is like a homage to the 80s.
Yep.
And the Griftwood, great song, poppy and still metal and very a little evil.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, I'm really happy to hear you guys talk so good about the album. We are proud of our band here in Sweden, so this is so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, going into it, I'm not like, Mark Striegel, where I think Ghost is everything. They're not my favorite band, and I wasn't really prepared for what I heard. I was just, and it just hit me like, wow, these guys, he's really taken this to a new place and a really good place. I mean, he made something that people were going to want to listen to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're not my favorite band either, and I, I've really got to like this, and I'm going to listen to it a lot more.
Yeah. I just want to say that before we go into Judas Priest in Utah, we should have Tobias on the Patreon. Because I've heard a lot of interviews of him, and he is just like us. He likes the same music, and he thinks like us. He has the same, approach to music like we all do. So that's the thing, and that's why he makes a good music, I think.
Are you saying, Johan, he should be on the Fireside Friday beforehand as well with us?
Yeah.
Totally. Bring him on.
Yeah, bring him on. Bring him on.
Victor, can you give him a call? Yeah.
I was going to ask if you could, if you had any connections there, if you had cooked for him or not in the past.
Yeah. I have a friend who knows the former drummer. So that's the connection.
But his former drummer's suing him, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
That probably won't work.
No.
Yeah, that may be a hard. Hey, by the way, I know you're suing him, but could you pass him a note? If it's on the
show? So, hey, Johan, is he a legit Swede though? I mean, did he grow up there?
Who?
Tobias? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's legit. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, okay, cool. Well, I like him even more now because you know me. I mean, I'm all about the Scandinavians. So
he has a strange last name, but he's all from Sweden. Absolutely.
All right. Well, cool, man.
Yeah. Let's hear from Judas Priest in Utah.
Okay. All right. So first of all, my son went with me, which was fantastic. And I fully expected, because for last time we saw Judas Priest, it was in the big, huge arena here, downtown Salt Lake, where the Jazz play. And the acoustics were so bad, you couldn't tell one song from another. He didn't really dig it too much. But he was like, yeah, I'll go see him with you. And he loved it. It's cool having a kid that digs stuff that you dig, And the funny thing was, when we were walking out into the parking lot, he was humming one of the songs, and it was Invader of all songs, which is off of Stained Class. And I thought that was like one of the, I love that song, but I thought it was like the one they did the least decent job playing. It's just kind of like the riff didn't come across very well, but it did to him. I mean, the chorus just stuck in his head. And I was like, it made me very happy. And we both talked about it. Queensryche warmed up. They were actually really good, but their sound was unbelievably awful. It was really distorted, not in a good way. I mean, when they were just about to come on, they were hitting a couple of bass notes, and it sounded like speakers were blown. It was just awful. And then they also did the thing with the vocals where they had his vocals off when he, wasn't singing, didn't turn it back on when he started singing. And I'm like, holy crap, what is this guy doing? And it was ridiculous. The first song, we had our earplugs out and it sounded, it was a nice level. And then it just kept pushing it up from there. And we had to put the earplugs in, and it was awful. So Queensryche, they played really well, and their sound man destroyed them. So let's move on to Priest. Now, Jeremy, when you saw them, it was a Bloodstock where you saw them?
That's right, yeah.
And you were talking about Rob kind of just standing there for the most part. I think he listened to your review of his show because he did not just stand there. He was all over the place. I mean, he's not moving around like dancing or anything or running, but he was pretty much in perpetual motion, going from one side of the stage to the other. And he was much better than when I saw him a few years ago on the Firepower Tour or whatever that is. Anyway, they hit the stage. The first song, earplugs out. It sounded great. You could hear everything. It was not distorted. Everything was clear as a bell. Of course, they come on with War Pigs, which was really cool. And everybody in the arena is singing War Pigs, which was really cool. And then they hit the stage, and they played, what's that song off of...
One Shot at Glory.
One Shot at Glory.
Yeah, One Shot at Glory. And I thought it was a great opening song. And I'm like, holy crap, I need to go back and give this album another shot. I need to listen to Painkiller because they played 4 songs from it, and they were all really good live. The guitarists were kind of, anyway, but then the volume just got super loud after that. The guy just kept pushing it so stupid loud, but it still sounded decent with the earplugs in. Rob, well, he went for it. He tried to hit the big note at the end of not Screaming for Vengeance, but I see. I'm totally blanking. No. Well, they did do the Electric Eye, but okay. I know. The set list I thought was really good. I thought their selections of songs. It's not like hearing the same songs over and over and over. So I liked that. I thought it was nice that they played Another Thing Coming right out of the gate. It was like the second or third song. I think it was the third song. So that was kind of nice. So it's not like you're going to spend and they didn't do a big sing along thing, which was nice. So it was just a song. It wasn't a 20-minute version of it.
Did Glenn come out at the end?
No Glenn at this show. I did see that he did play at the first show of the tour in Peoria, Illinois, which I was like, Peoria, Illinois? Like, why are you wheeling him out for that show? I mean, it is. I do have to say that the crowd was incredibly enthusiastic, really good crowd, but there were a lot of empty seats, which
It's the Maverick Center, Brad, by any chance?
Yeah, the Maverick Center. It's a hockey arena. Okay. It's not real tall. There is an upper deck, but it's not very deep, not many rows. We were sitting in front of the stage in the risers that come up off the floor there. Victor, you probably saw some of my Snapchats from there. So from that view, the light show was really, really good. There was no pyrotechnics, but the light show was very, very good. The sound was good, but too loud. The set list was really good. And I thought when they played Rockarola, and I get why they did that, because, they're celebrating 50 years of Priest. And I thought it was actually okay. I enjoyed it because it's like, I'd never expected ever to hear them play that song live, and they rocked it. They did a nice job on it.
Yeah, it reminds me of when Scorpions used to sort of play a lot of the very old stuff. Just going so long, it's great to hear the odd few stuff from way back. I just wondered what was Richie Faulkner like, because obviously he's been ill, hasn't he? As well as but I think Rob himself, was a bit slower when I saw him, probably because he'd been ill. Just wondered what Richie was like.
Yeah, Richie played really well. He wasn't as animated as he's been in the past. So he didn't run around much. He kind of stayed in one place. And which going back to Rob, I could not tell where the teleprompter was, Victor. I kept waiting for him to stay in one place looking at the teleprompter, but he didn't. He kind of, when he's singing, he doesn't move around a lot. But when he wasn't singing, he was moving all over the place. And he was really interacting with the crowd, which he didn't do the last time I saw him. He was talking to the crowd. He seemed very happy to be there. There was a lot of interaction between him and the other guys in the band, which I think that was one thing you talked about, Jeremy, that when you saw him, there wasn't a lot of camaraderie on stage. He went back to Ian Hill and, gave him a big hug during, when he wasn't singing. And the funny thing is that also after the concert, my son said to me, he said, "Dad," he said, what's up with the bass player? Why does he just stand way back there?" And I said, "Well, son, you've not heard my story about the one time that he actually moved, so I'm going to tell it to you." So bad things happen when he moves. I thought Andy Sneap played really well, but he's visually not anything spectacular. Scott Travis was fantastic. He plays like a machine. and played very, very well. And they give him a moment before Painkiller where he talks to the audience, which I thought was weird.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that.
He spends like a couple minutes just like, hey, how's everybody doing? And, you know, glad to be in Utah. And he talks for a while and he says, what song do you want to hear? And I'm like, okay, it sounds like they're saying Breaking the Law to me, but he says, oh, you want to hear Jugulator? Yeah. You want to hear Painkiller? Okay. And not many people can play that intro to Painkiller. And he did it like he was sitting in an easy chair. I mean, and nailed it.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's ridiculous how good he is. So he was just really, really good. But as I talked to Nathan about this, I said, yeah, it's kind of like almost a Judas Priest tribute band. I mean, except for you got Rob out there. It's almost like Halford with Ian Hill playing bass. It's not really Judas Priest. I mean, you know, for what we grew up with anyway. But I thought they played the songs really well. I love the set list. Everybody who can should go see them and support them because, and Rob said, we're going to be back. You know, they are doing another album. They're going to plan on doing another tour. And I hope they can keep.
Supposed to be proggier.
Well, nobody wants that, but I hope they can keep up the level of interest that they can keep playing, headlining somewhat kind of arenas, you know, not playing really small places.
Brad, did they play A Victim of Changes?
Yes, that was the song I was thinking of. Damn, I think I actually did a snap of that, didn't I, Victor? At the end of that, where he does go for it, and
I don't remember which of the ones.
So they played that right after Rock and Roll, and I thought, well, they're gonna start marching through the albums one by one here, but they didn't play anything from Sin After Sin, which you know you can't play everything. Still,
you can. It's just going to take 3 hours to do it.
Yeah, those guys would die. The costume changes were the most hilarious thing. Rob he would walk off stage, he'd go through this little curtain, and he would be back in like 5 seconds wearing something totally different. and I was gonna hashtag it more costume changes than share. And I thought, Rob, I'm probably going to do that when I post it on Instagram. I'll post a picture and say more costume changes than share and see if he likes that. Because it was funny. And okay, so Jeremy, is the bowl, you know, they had the blow up bowl thing at the end?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Is that got something to do with England?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nathan was trying to tie it into Wall Street, and I said, "Yeah, I'm not sure that's what they were going for, but because he goes, metal is like money and Wall Street," and I go, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's something else there."
Hoping to see him again. Actually, they're coming around next year. They're supporting some guy called Ozzy Osbourne, who I've never heard of, but hopefully get to see him again.
Yeah, I hope they do a really good set list for you and do a good show, and that they're feeling sharp and well and healthy and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
Does the bowl maybe have something to do with Birmingham?
That's what I wondered. I was like, there's got to be some significance to this, because otherwise it made absolutely no sense at all. And it's big. Right. It's this big, huge, just appears out of nowhere blow up bowl. And it's pretty ominous. I mean, it eats up like half the stage, and they're kind of having to move around it. And it's like, this makes no sense at all. Why would you do this? I mean, it's like, did somebody come along and go, "Hey, I got an idea for you guys. We're going to have this big blow up bowl come out."
In what song did he do that?
That's a great question. It was during the encore. It was the second song on the encore, I think, because he comes out on a motorcycle, does Hellbent for Leather. It was the song after Hellbent for Leather. I'll have to look up
the
encore.
Yeah, it was Breaking the Law. What's that got to do with a bowl?
Breaking the Law.
So I've got the set list in front of me here.
I'm trying to think.
One Shot of Glory, Lightning Strikes. You've got Another Thing Coming, Free Wheel Burning, Turbo Lover, Hell Patrol, The Sentinel, A Touch of Evil, Rockarola, Victim of Changes, Desert Plains,
I'll tell you that part of the show right there. Things were a highlight for me. There's everything seemed to be just clicking right when they hit Rockarola and Victim of Changes, and then Desert Plains. Oh my gosh, the band was really grooving at that point. Keep going, Victor. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. And then it's I said Blood Red Skies, then Invader, then Painkiller, then the encore, the Hellion on tape, and then Electric Eye.
Electric Eye was super good.
Then Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight, and then to end the night, they started with War Pigs. They ended the night with We Are the Champions from Queen, who's one of Rob's all-time favorite bands.
They didn't wheel that out. I didn't hear it anyway.
Okay.
So.
I think, I was just going to say, I think obviously they always finish with Living After Midnight and Breaking the Law, but I think they've been doing those songs so that Glenn can play along to them as well, because they're a little bit easier for him to play.
Right. Yeah. Although the clip I saw in Peoria, he was doing, what song was it? It was an older song.
Okay.
And I thought, well, it was something in the middle of the set. It might even been Free Will Burning or something like that. I'll have to take another look at that. But that's what I thought too. It wasn't the encore that they had him out. And I'm like, whoa, this is interesting.
Right.
Last time I saw them, they played You've Got Another Thing Coming. And like you said, it lasted like 13 minutes because they did the whole sing-along thing. It just went on too long. But I know. Point, Brad, they've never been good with opening band sound. They're the ones that
sabotage it
off at the knees.
Well, so this makes no sense to me, because they actually wanted Queensryche. They pulled them out of the Scorpions thing to do this, show with them. They actually gave them really good lights too. I was very impressed with Queensryche's stage set and the lights and everything. I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive for an opening band. I mean, they had a lot of production value, but it just sounded like crap.
That's a shame, because they're a good band.
I've seen Saxon, Motorhead, Megadeth, and Testament open for them, and they've all had shit sound.
Okay.
And then Priest comes on, and they're like 10 times louder and clear as day.
Yeah.
I saw Judas Priest on the Painkiller tour in Gothenburg, and the opening act were Pantera on the Cowboys from Hell tour, and that was not fair. Pantera on the Cowboys from Hell tour, they were good. So when Priest came on, it was a little bit slow. So that's that.
Yeah, and and as far as the screens, damn it, I forget the actual name now, where he's reading the teleprompters. The teleprompters look like the wedges at the front of the stage. If you thought those were actually speaker wedges, they're not. They're teleprompters, all of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I went to see them at an indoor show. I think they were sharing it with the Scorpions quite a few years back now, and Rob was just looking down all the time. It was so annoying. I mean, he wasn't engaging with the audience at all. He'd obviously forgotten the words to every song. It was, after a little bit of a break, I think, and he'd come back into the band, and it was terrible to see, really. The good thing about that show, of course, was Glenn and KK were playing, and it was one of their last sort of tours together, so that was great.
Well, it isn't that he forgot the lyrics. It's that when he came back into the band and they went out and did Ozfest, Ozzy said to Rob, he said, how do you sing your songs without forgetting the lyrics? Aren't you scared you're going to forget the lyrics on stage? That's why I have teleprompters. He freaked the ever-living shit out of Rob, and Rob has used teleprompters ever since because he's scared to forget the words on stage. Yeah. Bruce Dickinson has even made fun of him, and he said, do you honestly need to see Breaking the Law 30 times on a screen? Are you actually forgetting that you have to say it all those times at the end of the song?
That's funny.
So we actually have to wrap things up here.
Okay. Tell us about Go ahead. I said, tell us about what we're looking forward to here at the top of the hour.
Oh, we're looking forward to Mr. Jeremy Weltman and myself speaking about festivals and, the evolution to the cruises, which is something that Metal Dan and myself talked about last week. And Jeremy's got some other topics that we're going to discuss as well.
Well, I'm going to be
a lot of fun.
I'm going to be driving home, so I'll try to be streaming it while it's on. I listened to about half of the Metal Dan show, and very fascinating. Kind of actually scared me a little bit about going on one of those cruises. So anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Hey, you guys, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, and hope everybody's has a great weekend.
Yeah, cheers, Brad, and you.
Same to you. Same to you all.
See you, Johan.
The same, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again to Johan, Brad, and Jeremy for joining me once again this week. Thanks to we have Woody down there on stage, and or not on the stage, I guess in the chat section. I don't know what that's called. We also had Deborah in for a good part of the show. Thank you for checking it out. A few people that came in and out as well. And thank you guys for joining us here on Fireside. We will be going live on MarsAttacksRadio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, so on and so forth. Just go to MarsAttacksRadio.com, go to the subscribe tab, and look at all the fun places where you can see or where you can watch and chime in for the live stream at the top of the hour in less than 5 minutes. So,
yeah, join Victor's Patreon. Come hang out with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Come join us on Patreon. You can do so for as little as $2 a month. I see Bill Elam joining us on Facebook. As we're wrapping things up here, Bill, thank you for being a great supporter as well. And that's it, folks. See you in about a few minutes, in about 4 minutes, over on all the social media platforms I just mentioned, and we'll be talking all about festivals and some other cool things that Jeremy has in store. So, thank you guys.
Bye.